I have some Joewells, and the tip won't cut. These were sent to me by a sharpener, and he said he tried to sharpen them twice. They get sharp, they'll cut wet, but pull at the tip. After a few times cutting, more of the tip stops cutting. I did notice the screw has some play in it. However, if I over-tighten the screw, I still get the same cutting issue. I'm looking forward to see what you find. Well, let's look at this together. So, in case you're new to my channel, and some of you are, some of you follow me faithfully, I do a lot of shear sharpening. I'm Bonnie Megowan, and I sharpen clipper blades, but shears, especially beauty shears, are my specialty. And Joewell is one of they're made in several different factories, but the Joewell shears are like one of the oldest of the quality beauty shears. Now, these say made in China. I have to sharpen as a beveled edge because it's what we call a semi-convex. If I sharpen them as a true convex, the edge, the color will come off, and they're not going to be happy with me. Let's see what's going on. I'm going to start with some hair. And okay, first of all, I wouldn't beat myself up over these. Cutting wet, cutting tissue tells you if all the nicks are gone, all the burrs are gone. But I mean, it's what really counts is, does it cut hair? These cut hair fine. I would give them back to the stylist and say, hey, I'm not happy, or maybe let's see how to word it. Say, would you cut with these and check the tip out? Because, and say, they're not totally satisfying me, but I don't want to take off more metal than I have to. So cut with them and see what you think. So they'll cut with them and they'll be fine. You making faces back there?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he's sent in these shears because the tip's pulling on wet tissue, but it cuts hair good. But I guess I better do something more than just say that and send it back to him, right? Let's see what it's doing to tissue. So let me check the adjustment first. It's adjusted good. Wet tissue. And he says the more it cuts, the worse it cuts. So I'm pulling my thumb out. Slow catches fast.
What time are you leaving today?
Oh yeah, a little bit of pull. Little bit of pull. You hear them? Misty's leaving early again today. If you ever want to talk to Misty, don't bother to call in the afternoon because most days she's gone. Right, Misty? I don't know. She stayed to 3 o'clock, like, what, 3 days in a row last week?
No, it's like every day.
Like every day.
Every day.
But not till 4. Maybe one day you stayed till 4, right?
I think one day I did.
All right, so back to this. The joys of family business. It's nice to work at a job where you don't get in trouble for leaving early every day. So I'm bringing out my nail buffer. Less is more. Normally I only use the smooth 3000 grit side. I do that on the inside, but because these are pulling a little bit at the tip, I might go with a little rougher one. So that's probably the next up. This is still a really smooth thing. It's not like an emery board. It's something I would use on the top of my nails. And I'm not worrying about working the whole edge, just the tip where it's got a little pull issue. And he's going to be really mad if this fixes it, because he had to buy the postage and send it to me. Okay, this is still wet, but to be fair, we'll wet it again. We sell these spray water bottles, by the way. I try not to use anything I don't sell. Thumb out. Slow catches fast. Oh, it's cutting worse now. Okay. I see what he's talking about. That is a little bizarre, because I didn't even touch back here with the nail buffer. So there is a mystery to these. If it doesn't cut wet tissue, it's going to either be a burr left behind, not sharp, or nicks. And I don't think it's any of those. I don't even see an alignment problem, because it was an alignment problem. Usually the ride line, which looks pretty good on these shears, the ride line will be all over the place. So I'm just going to take them apart and do a quick sharpening and see if that makes any difference. That's I was having a discussion with someone. There's different personalities. There's the ones that have to know why. There's my engineers, my analyticals. I have some people coming for training that I know are that kind of personality. I can tell already on the phone. And there's nothing wrong with it. My son-in-law, Mark, who makes our Cymac machines, is that personality. But I just need to know, does it work? I don't have to know why does it work. That doesn't bother me. Well, it might bother me, but I mean, I don't have to know why for me to continue to do something. And so I'm just going to sharpen it and see if it works. And if it works, it works. And we don't know why. Maybe he can watch what I do, how I sharpen it, and there may be something different I'm doing. So let me turn this camera down where you can see. Fortunately, my good camera died. I've ordered another one. I had insurance on it. And I'm having to record this on my cell phone. So, but it doesn't do too bad. This is a fairly fresh 1500. It's, I'm going to put this on here. Now, when you're having problems with shears, you want to, usually, not always, there's no 100% on anything. Usually I'm going to go down in angles rather than going up. I'm going to make it blunter instead of sharper. But let's take this apart, and I'm just going to sharpen it normally. I think I'll do the scratch test to see what the angle is on it. I'm kind of double checking, making sure the screw's put together right. And yeah, it looks like it is. It's a ball bearing screw. Doesn't look like anything's wrong. Looks like the ride line looks good. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. And it wasn't his imagination, because you saw when I cut the second time, it didn't cut. I'm seeing something a little wonky right in here. I'm not feeling a nick, but it's like it's something. I'll turn it back and forth with the light here and see if you see it. It's right here. Let me put the light on it good. See if I see it on that side. Don't see it on that side. But that's not even where the problem is. So, I'm going to color in my edge with my edge marker, which actually works better than a Sharpie because it wipes off easier. This is my Waterstone. I don't know if you can see it back there. And I'm putting my pressure over my pivot. Stronger coming down, a little lighter going up. I know I do it really fast. How many strokes? It almost gets to be where I can feel a smoothness when I'm there. That looks nice. It's hard to describe, but you can just almost feel like, okay, I've got it. Subjective sort of a thing. So I've got my red Sharpie that's still there on the edge. My angle right now is set at 40. So let me try it at 40. .40 is a little blunt, so it looks like he did it at 45. I'm going to take it down to 40. That's usually good enough. And I'm the 1500 grit. I don't want to do any rocking because I'll take the color off. I'm looking close to see that I can land right where I need to be. And I pull it across just until I can get that tip there. I don't want to pull it all the way up. And I definitely got a burr. Not really sure about right there, the tippy tip. Looks good. Do the other blade. Am I going to polish it? Am I going to bring this down to a smoother edge? I think not, but the problem is that it was pulling, catching on the tissue. Yep, burr's all the way gone. I mean, burr's all the way to the tip. Back to my stone. I'm pulling off my burr. I don't like the way that felt. Like my stone's dirty. I pull it back, and if it feels smooth, I stop. If it still feels rough, I'll do another little jerk back. I'm going to put it back onto my clamp. Just go at a really slow speed and just sort of kiss it. I don't want to pull up a new burr. I just want to knock off any burr I might have pushed to the outside. I could use a nail buffer for this or something else, but this seems to work pretty easy. Now I want to put them back together. Some of the Joewell shears that are black, that are coming from Japan, are really, really high, have a high percentage of cobalt in them, and they're very brittle, and you have to be careful with them. This, fortunately, is not one of them. It's a Chinese-made one, and it doesn't look like it's got that hard steel that can become brittle. So I'm putting them back together. In case I've left a burr behind, I'm going to do my first cut on some dry tissue. I'm not going to close it till I cut, and I might even double up the tissue just in case. So let's see how it cuts wet. Now remember, we had to do it a few times. Let me check the adjustment. It's a little loose. One click. Might do it one click more. There we go. Okay. Thumb out. Little bit of a pull. Teeny tiny pull. Let's go to our handy dandy nail buffer, the magical nail buffer, which has a way of running away. Like I said, when I die, and I actually have got the prepaid cremation thing, you're going to cremate me, but put the nail buffer in there just in case I need that. Just in case. It should burn up pretty good with the rest of me. All right, let's get another fresh one that's wet. I'm amazed at, oh, look at there. Look at there. It is magic. And even that screw, see, is loosened up. But there's absolutely no pull. I might make it one click tighter, because it's going to loosen up. Let's see how it cuts hair. But it's cutting wet tissue. Well, remember it cut wet tissue before, and then I waited a second, and then it didn't. I'm going to try it again. Look at that. Now, it was cutting perfect. He's right. Look at that. That is weird. Maybe it needs to be looser. Let's see if that makes a difference. It shouldn't, but it is a ball bearing washer. Sometimes those make a difference. Well, this may be a bizarre thing. Gee, if any of you can figure out why this works this way, let me know. Okay, I'm going to tighten it back where I think it should be. When it's tight, it pulls. So when the screw is tightened the way I think it should be, it pulls hair at the tip. If the screw is loose, it doesn't. Well, now it's way too loose. Is that not the weirdest thing in the world? Look at that. Well, I'm going to leave this fuzz on it. I'm going to put... Now, as I said, what I would have done in the salon is I would have handed them back the way they are. I would not be going through all this. And you really shouldn't either. But he asked me to fix this problem. So I've got a 600 worn on here. I've left my fuzz on there. I'm going to turn this light off. Maybe you can see the fuzz better. Yeah, I think you see it with that better without the light. Now you see the little fuzz right here? I'm going to turn this on a little bit faster. And I'm coming in here until that fuzz disappears. Still has fuzz. I don't want to shorten it too much. Come on. Turn this thing up. There's still fuzz behind. Let's wipe it off anyway. Hopefully that's got it. Feels a little sharp. There we go. Okay, so wet tissue. Wet it again. So it was not his imagination. It's not my imagination, but let's see if we fixed it. Let's look at that adjustment. Let's cut some hair. See, now it pushes hair a little bit. Do you see that? Pushing hair, but cuts the wet tissue. So what are the stylists cutting? Are they cutting wet tissue or are they cutting hair? They're cutting hair. So we might have fixed the wet tissue problem, but now we've got a pushing hair problem. See, it's pushing. Adjustment's right. This is why a lot of times you just need to walk away from stuff. If you're good enough, it's good enough. You keep trying to make something perfect and... Alright, I've got a 600 grit on here on a cushion plate. I'm going to go slow and I'm just going to pull up another burr. And I have a teeny tiny burr, still at my 40 degrees. I'm going to cut off my burr with a paper towel. Now, will it push hair? And this is really slippery hair, so it tends, this is easier hair to push, but still pushing. You see that? Now buffer. do the other blade. Now, if she only slides cuts with these and points cuts, it might be okay like it is. But this is why consultations are so important, because if she slide cuts and point cuts, I would leave it alone. If she's doing more barbering and straight cuts, well, then we need to make sure it doesn't push hair. Especially if she's, you know, her clients have this kind of silky sort of hair. So, yeah, there we go. Absolutely no push. See that? No push. Now, for the ha-has and the jollies of it, let's see if it cuts wet tissue. Now, all I did these last 2 times, I just pulled up a burr without doing anything to the ride line and cut the burr off on a paper towel. Sometimes that's what you got to do. Okay, last time I cut hair, then I came back to that and it pushed. So hair, no push. Wet tissue, no pull. In the South, we say get her done. We got it done. I'm not sure why this works. It's not as sharp as it was before. It cut hair before. We've gone through a whole journey with this, but this cuts wet tissue. It cuts hair. I think it should make her happy. But before you go through, if you're a sharpener, don't beat yourself up until you let the stylist work with it and have a feeling, an idea of how they use their shears, whether point cutting, slide cutting, straight cutting. Sometimes you don't have to ask. You sort of look at the salon, you look at their clientele. The other thing you can take away from this is less is more. I just pulled up a burr, cut it off, and that seemed to fix the problem. And don't be afraid to take 1 millimeter or 2 off at the tip. Not much more than that. And I think I want to say this, the puzzling is fun, but don't make yourself crazy. I had a sharpener call me yesterday, and there was a $79 pair of shears. He cut to his satisfaction. The customer wasn't happy. He sharpened again. The customer wasn't happy. Over and over and over again. And I'm like, I think they're both a little crazy, because you've got to, all the other people said the shears were fine. So I'm sure they were. But to be obsessed over pleasing a customer, you need to want to have good customer service. But there comes a time when you have to realize that this person can't be pleased, and you just walk away from them. And I've had some like that in my history. So these are going back to them. Thanks for sending them to me. Any sharpeners that have a problem shear with a mystery, I'd like to look at them. And I think you do too. So subscribe if you don't, so you can follow some of my other mysteries that come up in the future. Yeah, these were kind of fun.